Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 1, Spiritual Masters, Text 58 onwards. Jive Sakshat Nahi Tate Guru Chaitya Rupe, Shiksha Guru Hare Krishna Mahanta Swarupe. Since one cannot visually experience the presence of the Super Soul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. So it's not possible for a conditioned soul to directly meet Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if one becomes a sincere devotee and seriously engages in devotional service, Lord Krishna sends an instructing spiritual master to show him favor and invoke his dormant propensity for serving the Supreme. The preceptor appears before the external senses of the fortunate conditioned soul, and at the same time, the devotee is guided from within by the Chaitya Guru Krishna, who is seated as a spiritual master within the heart of the living entity. So a serious devotee, sincere devotee is helped by Krishna himself from within as Paramatma, as Chaitya Guru, and without as a spiritual master, instructing spiritual master. And here Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. Of course, spiritual master never thinks he is God. But this is how a devotee should perceive a spiritual master. So now he quotes another verse from Bhagavatam. Tato dusangam utsrijya satsu sajjet buddhiman santa evasya chindanti mano vyasangam uktibhi. One should therefore avoid bad company and associate only with devotees. With their realized instructions, such saints can cut the knot connecting one with activities unfavorable to devotional service. This verse, which appears in Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken by Lord Krishna to Uddhava in the text known as Uddhava Gita. The discussion relates to the story of Pururava and the heavenly courtesan Urvashi. When Urvashi left Pururava, he was deeply affected by the separation and had to learn to overcome his grief. It's indicated that to learn the transcendental science, it is imperative that one avoid the company of undesirable persons and always seek the company of saints and sages who are able to impart lessons of transcendental knowledge. So this was the instruction even in Nectar of Instruction. Jan Sangansha, Lolyam Cha Shadbir Bhaktir Vinashati, and the thing that helps us grow in bhakti is sadhu sangha, satsanga. So association, very, very important. The potent words of such realized souls penetrate the heart, thereby eradicating all misgivings accumulated through years of undesirable association. For a neophyte devotee, there are two kinds of persons whose association is undesirable. Gross materialists who constantly engage in sense gratification, and secondly, unbelievers who do not serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but serve their senses and their mental whims in terms of their speculative habits. So gross materialists who constantly engage in sense gratification because that's all their goal of life is. That's it. They don't know anything else. And when we associate with these kind of people, we also tend to develop those tendencies, those inclinations. Because association, it really affects affects our heart, affects our thought process, consciousness, everything. So we got to be very careful who we are associating with. And then the second is the unbelievers, atheists who don't believe in Supreme Personality of Godhead. So intelligent persons seeking transcendental realization should very scrupulously avoid their company. And then whose association? Satam prasangam mam veera samvid bhavanti hritkarana rasayana katha tad joshanadashva pavarga vartamani shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishyati. The spiritually powerful message of Godhead can be properly discussed only in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens, and gradually one attains firm faith that in due course develops into attraction and devotion. So Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishati, slowly it grows in that. Only in the association of devotees. And in the association of devotees to do what? Hear and chant the holy names and pastimes of Krishna, message of Krishna. Nothing else. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, where Kapil Dev replies to the question of his mother, Devhuti, about the process of devotional service. As one advances in devotional activities, the process becomes progressively clearer and more encouraging. Unless one gets this spiritual encouragement by following the instructions of the spiritual master, it's not possible to make advancement. Therefore, one's development of a taste for executing these instructions is a test of one's devotional service. So one's development of taste for executing these instructions is a test of one's devotional service, or is a test of one's advancing also in devotional service. Are we getting more and more taste or not? Are we just showing up just for the heck of it? Do we pick up the beads to chant because I have to chant, not because I love to chant, I want to chant? So this is where our devotional advancement is. Initially, one must develop confidence by hearing the signs of devotion from a qualified spiritual master. Then, as he associates with devotees and tries to adopt the means instructed by the spiritual master, in his own life, his misgivings and other obstacles are vanquished by his execution of devotional service. Strong attachment for the transcendental service of the Lord develops as he continues listening to the messages of Godhead. And if he steadfastly proceeds in this way, he is certainly elevated to spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the process. There is nothing else. If he steadfastly means with determination, fixed up, he proceeds to do what? Continues listening to the messages of Godhead. So Shravanam Kirtanam, that's it. Nothing more is needed. Of course, one should do some physical service and other services if possible, but chanting and hearing, that's all. Then he is certainly elevated to spontaneous love, Raga Nuga Bhakti, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All this is described very nicely in that book, Nectar of Devotion, how one progresses. Ishvara Sarupa Bhakta Tara Adhishtan Bhaktera Hridaya Krishnera Satata Vishram. A pure devotee constantly engaged in the loving service of the Lord is identical with the Lord, who is always seated in his heart. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second, and therefore He is all-powerful. He has inconceivable energies, of which three are principal. So three are principles: interior energy, exterior energy, so spiritual energy, material energy, and tatastha shakti. The devotee is considered to be one of these energies, never the energetic. We never become the energetic. The energetic is always the Supreme Lord. The energies are related to Him for the purpose of eternal service. A living entity in the conditioned stage can uncover his aptitude for serving the absolute truth by the grace of Krishna and the spiritual master. Then the Lord reveals Himself within his heart, and he can know that Krishna is seated in the heart of every pure devotee. Krishna is actually situated in the heart of every living entity, but only a devotee can realize this fact, that He is seated in the heart of every pure devotee. And today being Hanuman Janmotsav, some say Jayanti, some say Janmotsav, appearance day of Lord Hanuman. And we know the story, how he opened up his chest when they came back to Ayodhya after killing Ravan. And he showed in his heart, Sita, Ram, Lakshman, they were seated in his heart. So actually in everybody's heart, in every living entities, next to the soul is seated the super soul. Super soul is four-handed Vishnu form, Chaturpuja, Narayan. But as we grow in devotional service, whoever our Ishtadev is, then he comes and sits in the heart, and then not the super soul. Or he becomes the super soul. Just for Hanumanji, it was Sita, Ram, Lakshmana was sitting. And for devotees of Krishna, it could be Radha Krishna. For devotees of Jagannath, it could be Jagannathji sitting in the heart. But only when we come to that level, a pure devotee, constantly engaged in the loving service of the Lord, is identical with the Lord, who is always seated in his heart. So identical doesn't mean that he becomes the Lord. He's always energetic, or always energy. Prabhupada clarifies that. But he also becomes spiritually aware, spiritually realized, completely advanced. And this is what, see, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says something in Bengali, some shloka, and then he quotes something from Bhagavatam or other scriptures. So he says, Sadhu hirdem mayam, sadhunam hirdem toham, madanyatena jananti, naham tebhya managapi. Krishna said to Durvasa Muni, saints are my heart, and only I am their hearts. They do not know anyone but me, and therefore I do not recognize anyone besides them as mine. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with the misunderstanding between Durvasa Muni and Maharaja Ambarish. As a result of this misunderstanding, Durvasa Muni tried to kill the king. When the Sudarshan Chakra, the celebrated weapon of Godhead, appeared on the scene for the devoted king's protection. When the Sudarshan Chakra attacked Durvasa Muni, he fled in fear of the weapon and sought shelter from all the great demigods in heaven. Not one of them was able to protect him. And therefore Durvasa Muni prayed to Lord Vishnu for forgiveness. Lord Vishnu advised him, however, that if he wanted forgiveness, he had to get it from Maharaj Ambarish, not from him. In this context, Lord Vishnu spoke this verse, that sadhu hirdem mayam, sadhu nam hirdem toham. That my devotees live in my heart and I live in their heart. The Lord, being full and free from problems, can wholeheartedly care for his devotees. His concern is how to elevate and protect all those who have taken shelter at his feet. The same responsibility is also entrusted to the spiritual master. The bona fide spiritual master's concern is how the devotees who have surrendered to him as a representative of the Lord may make progress in devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always mindful of the devotees who fully engage in cultivating knowledge of him, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. So this is how spiritual master is always concerned how the devotees who have surrendered unto him, how they're going to make progress. That's a bona fide spiritual master's concern. He's not worried about how much money they're going to give me or how they're going to take care of me, take care of my projects. No, how they're going to make progress in devotional service. And everybody is at a different level of consciousness, has different sanskaras. Everybody comes with his own package. So this is how an expert spiritual master figures out how I'm going to engage this person in Krishna's service, fanning the spark that he has. Spark means whatever qualities he has, that this is how he can serve Krishna. So that is spiritual master. Bhavad Vida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Bhivu Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthanti Tirthani Swantastena Gadavrita. Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage. This Maharaj Yudhishthira spoke to Vidurji. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage. This verse was spoken by Maharaj Yudhishthira to Vidura in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Maharaj Yudhishthira was receiving his saintly uncle Vidura, who had been visiting sacred places of pilgrimage. Maharaj Yudhishthira told Vidura that pure devotees like him are personified holy places because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always with them in their hearts. By their association, sinful persons are freed from sinful reactions. And therefore, wherever a pure devotee goes is a sacred place of pilgrimage. The importance of holy places is due to the presence of such pure devotees. So such pure devotees, sadhus like Vidura, and there's so many sadhus all over. And actually it is said they purify the place of pilgrimage. And wherever they go, it becomes a sacred place of pilgrimage. That's why, of course, Prabhupada, whenever he established deities and made different temples for the Lord outside India, he named those places New Vrindavan, New Dwarkapuri, New Hastinapur. So that was Prabhupada's way of telling that these places are non-different from Vrindavan, Dwarka, or Hastinapur. And even name the deities in London, Londoneshwara, Radha Londoneshwara, Radha Pariseshwara. Nowhere in the scriptures we find these kind of names. But Prabhupada, being such a pure devotee, wherever he went, and he established those deities, and they are still being worshipped, and new temples are being opened, and new sets of deities are being installed, and they're getting worshipped, and making the whole place very, very holy, it's like a dham over there. And Prabhupada said, this is Radha Londoneshwara, they are the Ishwar of London. Of course, they are the Ishwar of the whole universe, but specifically for London. But obviously, the government of London doesn't recognize that. That's a different story. They should come and pay taxes over there. But this is how the deities should be served. And the devotees, by their presence only, they make that place a holy place. Sei bhakta gana haya dvivida prakara, parishad gana eka sadhaka gana. Such pure devotees are of two types: personal associates, parishat, and neophyte devotees, sadhakas. So perfect servitors of the Lord are considered his personal associates, whereas devotees endeavoring to attain perfection are called neophytes. Among the associates, some are attracted by the opulences of the personality of Godhead, and others are attracted by nuptial love of Godhead. The former devotees are placed in the realm of Vaikuntha to render reverential devotional service, whereas the latter devotees are placed in Vrindavan for the direct service of Shri Krishna. So it just depends on what's our relationship with the Lord, and we will develop those kind of tendencies towards serving the Lord, whether in realm of Vaikuntha or in Vrindavan. Sometimes, somehow, we have these tendencies to think that Vaikuntha devotees are lower than Vrindavan devotees. There is no higher or lower. There is just different mood of service. That's all. Even in Madhurya Ras, there is a combination of all the other rasas. In Vatsalya, there is combination of Sakhya, Das and Shant. Not of Madhurya. Of course, Yashoda Maya is not going to have same feelings as Radha. But other rasas are there. But that doesn't mean Yashoda Maya is in any way lesser than Radharani in her love, attachment, service towards Krishna. Same thing about Balramji. He's in Sakhyaras, but he has some, because his elder brother, he has some parental affection and some Shantras, Dasiras, because he also wants to serve Krishna. So is he in any way lower? Hanumanji, to Hanuman Janmotsav. He's in Vaikuntha mode. His only connection or attachment towards the Lord is for Lord Ram. That's it. But is he in any way lower? No. We all know this story that Krishna wanted to break or shatter the pride of Satyabhama, Garudji, Sudarshan Chakra, all three at the same time. They all had developed pride. So Krishna told Sudarshan, go get, first he told Garudji, go get Hanumanji. I want to see him. Garudji went, and Hanumanji was in his Kimpurusha Loka. He was serving Lord Ram, deity of Lord Ram. He was worshipping, dancing, chanting. Garudji said, come, Krishna wants to see you. I said, oh, I don't want to go anywhere. Go away. Or first I think Sudarshan Chakra went. So Hanumanji sent him back. Then Krishna sent Garudji. Tell Hanuman that Ram is waiting for you in Dwarka. Garudji went, and Garudji is very proud of his speed, and told Hanumanji, Ram is waiting. Hanumanji said, Ram is waiting for me in Dwarka, and he went. And Garudji didn't even see him. And Hanumanji had already reached Dwarka. And in Dwarka, Sudarshan was outside the gate, and the Sudarshan Chakra is very proud of his power, his strength. Hanumanji put him in his mouth. And he came inside. He saw Krishna. Krishna had taken the form of Ram. he had asked Satyabhama to take the form of Sita in the forest, because that's what Hanumanji really was in the service mode of Sita. And Satyabhama said, no, I'm not going to take Sita form in the forest. I'm a queen. But Krishna had taken the form of Ram in the forest. So Hanumanji came, he took out Sudarshan Chakra from his mouth, put him on the floor, paid obeisances to Ram, who was Krishna. And then he looked at Satyabhama. He said, oh, my dear Lord, where is Mother Sita? Who is this maid servant of Sita standing here? So Krishna shattered the pride of all three of them. But this is Hanumanji. So there is no higher or lower. It's just like if we have different size cups and we fill them with water. So every cup is full of water. That's all. So Madhurya Ras has all the rasas. So it's a bigger cup from that aspect. But every cup is full. Every person in Vaikuntha, in Golok Vrindavan, they are full in their love for Krishna or for whoever the presiding deity of that planet is. So it's just Acharya's way of telling. So Madhurya Ras is full of other rasas. That's all. I mean, they serve, they have different love for Krishna, different mode of love for Krishna. But they all are perfect. And today being Hanuman Janmotsav, we should read about Lord Hanuman whatever we can. And really, he is the one who was perfection in the Dasiras, in serving the Lord. He goes to the extent serving him more than what he was expected from him. That is Hanumanji. So we should take his example to our heart, to try to do more service than it is expected from us. In a loving way, always giving credit to Lord Ram for everything. That is Hanuman. In fact, when I'm just thinking of one pastime, when Meghnad shot Hanumanji, Lakshman and Ram with Shakti. Once he made Lakshmanji unconscious, and once he made Ram and Lakshman unconscious. Either he made or Ravan made, I'm forgetting that. And everybody was unconscious. Only Hanumanji was not. And Hanumanji got he was hit, but he was not unconscious. So first he was looking around and he found Jamvan. And he woke Jamvan up. Jamvanji, get up. Something terrible has happened. Everybody's unconscious. And Jamvan, he was getting up and in his eyes were closed and he said, is Hanuman okay? And they were like, Hanuman, what do you mean Hanuman okay? Ram and Lakshman. No, if Hanuman is okay, he will make arrangements for everything to be okay. This was the confidence of Jamvan. Then Hanuman, if he is okay, then he'll make sure everybody is okay. Ram, Lakshman, they will be taken care of. Don't worry. That is Hanuman. Okay, so I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Jamavant has, I think Jamavant, I read that story of Shyamantak Madi in Dwapar, and then in Treta also he was there. What a big life! It's unbelievable. From Treta to Dwapar, an entire yuga he was there.
This is only part of the story. Jamvan, it is said in some Puranas, Brahmaji, he was the first creation from Brahmaji. He's the first person that was created by Brahmaji. He's there from beginning. He knows. Every Ramayana, he knows whatever is going to happen, but he is so old, he forgets things. But that's about it. But he's in every time Ramayana is happening, he's there.
Yeah. And then Prabhuji in Dwapar Yuga, when for Samantak Padi, when he fought with Krishna, Lord Krishna, that time he said because I mean for a long time I think it went for 27 days fight or
Yes,
something.
27 days. Yeah.
27, and then he said I become so old that I can't continue to fight and something like that. But he was very powerful also.
Yeah, yeah. But still, he fought for 27 days with Krishna, although he was so old.
Yeah,
But their fight
absolutely,
was
Prabhuji.
not the fight like Krishna was having with Hiranyakashipu or Hiranyaksha. That is a different kind of fight.
हम्म। कुश्ती तो हो गई प्रभु जी रेसलिंग वाला जैसा होता है बस could be that kind of
But
fight.
there was no enmity. It's a different mode of fighting. No?
Yeah.
Fighting is there, no doubt, but different mode of fighting. It wasn't there to kill each other. It was to defeat each other. That's all.
Right. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Okay, I guess I can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna.